I mean, it's just X, the letter X. The AE is like pronounced ash. And then A12 is my contribution.
The small, quiet town of Willow Creek was a place where dreams were rarely extravagant and often constrained by the limits of reality. It was here that 8-year-old Jamie Parker lived with his family in a modest home on a tree-lined street. Jamie was a boy like any other in many ways, curious, mischievous, and filled with the boundless energy of youth. But his life had recently taken on a heavy weight that set him apart. His younger brother Ethan had fallen gravely ill. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Ethan was only 4, a bubbly child with an infectious laugh and a love for space. He would spend hours playing with his model rockets and staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars Jamie had carefully arranged on the ceiling of their shared bedroom. But now Ethan's laughter was replaced by the sterile beeping of machines, and his once rosy cheeks had paled, his body weak from the endless battle he waged against an illness that baffled the local doctors. Jamie didn't fully understand the intricacies of Ethan's condition. He only knew that his brother was in pain and that his parents, who were his heroes, were unable to fix it. He heard their whispered conversations late at night, voices laced with despair over the mounting medical bills and their inability to find a specialist who might offer hope. One evening, as Jamie sat in their small living room flipping through one of Ethan's favorite picture books, a news segment on TV caught his attention. It was about Elon Musk, the billionaire inventor and visionary, unveiling his latest achievement at SpaceX. The reporter spoke of Musk's relentless drive to achieve the impossible: reusable rockets, colonizing Mars, and providing solutions to some of humanity's biggest challenges. Jamie didn't understand everything, but he understood enough. Elon Musk was a man who solved problems, and his brother needed solving. Jamie turned the idea over in his mind. Could a man like Elon Musk help Ethan? It seemed unlikely, but Jamie was a boy with an unshakable belief in the magic of possibility. That night, while his parents tucked Ethan into bed, Jamie pulled out his spiral notebook and a pencil, determined to write a letter. "Dear Mr. Musk," he began in the careful scrawl of an 8-year-old, "my name is Jamie, and I'm writing to you because you're the smartest person I've ever heard about. My little brother Ethan is very sick. The doctors don't know how to help him, and my mom and dad cry a lot when they think I'm not looking. Ethan loves rockets, and he thinks you're the coolest person ever. I was wondering if you could help us. Even if you can't, thank you for reading this. Sincerely, Jamie Parker." Satisfied with his letter, Jamie folded it neatly and placed it in an envelope. The next day, he asked his teacher for help addressing it to SpaceX's headquarters. She raised an eyebrow but helped him anyway, touched by the sincerity in Jamie's eyes. Jamie mailed the letter, his heart brimming with a mixture of hope and the pragmatism of a child. He had done what he could, and now the rest was out of his hands. Weeks passed, and life in the Parker household remained heavy with worry. Jamie had all but forgotten about his letter when, one Friday afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up outside their house. The doorbell rang, and Jamie's mother opened the door to find a sharply dressed man holding a tablet. "Mrs. Parker, I'm with Mr. Elon Musk's office. He received a letter from your son Jamie and asked me to visit in person." The words didn't immediately register. "A letter?" she asked, her voice tinged with confusion. "From Jamie," the man clarified. "About Ethan." Mrs. Parker called for Jamie, who came running, his eyes widening when he saw the visitor. "You really work for him?" Jamie asked, his voice a mix of awe and disbelief. The man smiled. "I do. And Mr. Musk wanted me to tell you that he was very moved by your letter. He's arranged for Ethan to be flown to one of the best pediatric medical centers in the world, where a team of specialists will evaluate him. All expenses are covered." Mrs. Parker's hands flew to her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Jamie stood frozen, processing the enormity of what was happening. "You mean, you're going to help Ethan?" he whispered. "Yes," the man replied. "We're going to do everything we can." Over the next week, Ethan was transported to a state-of-the-art facility in California. Elon Musk himself didn't visit, but his presence was felt in every detail of the arrangements. Private jets, a team of world-class doctors, and advanced medical equipment that seemed like something out of a science fiction movie. The Parker family was overwhelmed by the kindness and precision of the operation. They met with doctors who explained Ethan's condition in ways they could understand and outlined a treatment plan that gave them something they hadn't had in months: hope. Meanwhile, news of Jamie's letter and Elon Musk's response spread like wildfire. Reporters descended on Willow Creek, eager to speak to the little boy whose simple plea had moved one of the world's busiest and most powerful men to action. Jamie didn't fully grasp why everyone was so fascinated. "I just wanted to help my brother," he told one journalist, his honesty disarming. As the world followed the story, Ethan began to improve. The treatment wasn't easy, and there were setbacks, but the doctors were optimistic. Jamie spent hours at his brother's bedside, telling him stories about spaceships and planets, inspired by the pictures of SpaceX rockets adorning the walls of Ethan's hospital room. Elon Musk, though he stayed out of the spotlight, continued to provide support. He sent Jamie a personal letter, thanking him for his bravery and including a signed photo of a Falcon Heavy launch for Ethan. "Never stop believing in impossible things," Musk wrote. Months later, Ethan was discharged from the hospital. He wasn't completely cured, but his condition was stable, and the doctors believed he had a bright future. The Parker family returned home to a town that had been transformed by their story. Neighbors who had once been strangers now stopped by with meals and kind words, inspired by Jamie's love for his brother and Musk's generosity. The experience left an indelible mark on Jamie. He became fascinated by science and technology, devouring books about space and inventors. "I want to work for SpaceX someday," he declared one evening as he and Ethan lay under the glow-in-the-dark stars. "Or maybe I'll start my own company." Ethan grinned, his strength slowly returning. "Can I come?" "Of course," Jamie said. "We'll build the best rockets ever." Years later, when Jamie was asked about the letter that had changed everything, he would shrug modestly. "I just wanted to help Ethan," he would say, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. But to everyone who heard his story, it was a reminder of the extraordinary power of love, hope, and the courage to ask for help. And to Elon Musk, it was proof that even the smallest voices could inspire the biggest actions. The story of Jamie Parker's letter and Elon Musk's astonishing response captured the world's imagination, but the ripple effects went far beyond the Parker family. The event was a reminder of the humanity behind the headlines and the possibilities that could emerge when people, even those separated by wealth, fame, or geography, chose to help each other. In the days and weeks following Ethan's return home, the Parker family settled into a new rhythm. Ethan's health had stabilized, though it would still require ongoing care. The difference was that now there was hope and a clear path forward, a stark contrast to the uncertainty that had loomed over them before Jamie's letter. For Jamie, the experience was transformative. In the weeks after Musk's intervention, packages began arriving at their door. Some came from SpaceX employees, inspired by the story and eager to encourage Jamie's budding passion for space. They sent model rockets, blueprints, and even a small telescope, which Jamie used to gaze at the stars every night. Others came from strangers around the world, letters, books, and gifts that expressed admiration for the little boy who dared to ask for the impossible. One of the most remarkable changes occurred in Willow Creek itself. The small, sleepy town had never been the focus of national or global attention before. Now people drove through just to see the Parker family's home. Journalists chronicled the transformation of the community, inspired by the way neighbors had rallied to support one of their own. Local businesses began donating portions of their earnings to help cover ongoing expenses for Ethan's care, even though Musk had taken care of the most urgent medical costs. Jamie's school also underwent a subtle transformation. The teachers, already inspired by the attention their student had received, decided to implement new initiatives focused on science and technology. A small lab was set up in one of the classrooms, stocked with beginner kits for robotics and chemistry. The principal even invited a local scientist to give a talk about space exploration, using Jamie's story as an example of how curiosity and compassion could change lives. Meanwhile, the media frenzy continued. Jamie's parents had initially hesitated to engage with reporters, fearing it might be overwhelming for their children. However, they soon realized that sharing their story might help others in similar situations. In interviews, they spoke about the power of advocacy, the importance of never giving up, and the life-altering kindness of a man they had never met in person. One day, months after the initial events, the Parker family received an invitation that left them speechless. Elon Musk himself had invited them to visit SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. The invitation included a private tour of the facility and the opportunity for Jamie and Ethan to meet some of the engineers and scientists behind the rockets that had captivated their imaginations. The family's trip to California was a whirlwind of excitement and wonder. Jamie was wide-eyed as they entered the sprawling SpaceX campus, with its sleek design and palpable air of innovation. Ethan, though still physically weak, lit up with excitement as they passed towering rocket prototypes and displays showcasing past missions. Their guide for the day was a young engineer named Priya, who explained the intricacies of rocket design in a way that both boys could understand. "This," she said, pointing to a massive Falcon 9 booster, "is one of the rockets that launched satellites into orbit and came back safely to Earth." Jamie asked endless questions, his curiosity uncontainable. "How does it come back? Isn't it too heavy? What happens if it breaks?" Priya laughed, delighted by his enthusiasm. "It's a combination of precision engineering, careful calculations, and a lot of testing," she explained. "Every part of this rocket was designed to do exactly what it needs to do, no more and no less. And if something does break, we figure out why and fix it." Ethan, though quieter, listened intently. He was especially captivated by a model of the Starship spacecraft, which Priya explained was designed for deep space exploration. "Do you think it'll go to Mars one day?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Priya nodded. "That's the plan. And who knows? Maybe you'll be on one of those missions someday." The tour culminated in a surprise meeting with Elon Musk himself. He greeted the family warmly, crouching down to speak to Jamie and Ethan at eye level. "You're the reason we're all here today," Musk told Jamie. "Your letter reminded me why I started SpaceX in the first place, to make the impossible possible." Jamie beamed. "I just wanted to help Ethan," he said, his voice earnest. "And you did," Musk replied. "More than you know." Musk spent nearly an hour with the family answering questions, showing them prototypes, and sharing his vision for the future of space exploration. Before they left, he gave Jamie and Ethan personalized SpaceX jackets, along with a framed photo of Earth taken from space. "To remind you," he said, "that no matter how big the universe is, it's the small things that matter most." The visit to SpaceX became a defining moment in Jamie's life. He returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to learn everything he could about science and engineering. His parents encouraged his interests, finding ways to nurture his budding passion even within the constraints of their modest means. In the years that followed, Jamie's story continued to inspire others. Teachers, parents, and children across the country were moved by the idea that a simple act, a letter written by an 8-year-old, could lead to such extraordinary results. The story became a favorite topic in classrooms, where it was used to teach lessons about advocacy, empathy, and the importance of taking initiative. Ethan's health also improved steadily. The treatments he had received, coupled with the ongoing care facilitated by the Parker family's newfound resources, allowed him to regain much of his strength. By the time he entered elementary school, he was running, playing, and laughing again, just as he had before his illness. The bond between the brothers only deepened as they grew older. Jamie became a mentor to Ethan, sharing his love of space and science. They spent countless nights lying on the grass in their backyard, staring up at the stars and imagining what the future might hold. As the years passed, Jamie's dream of working in the space industry never wavered. He excelled in school, fueled by a relentless curiosity and a determination to make a difference. His teachers, inspired by his story and his drive, went out of their way to support him, connecting him with mentors and programs that nurtured his talents. By the time Jamie graduated high school, he had already built several working rocket models and won multiple science competitions. He was accepted into one of the top engineering programs in the country, where he continued to pursue his dream of following in Elon Musk's footsteps. But Jamie never forgot the lessons of his childhood. Inspired by the kindness and support his family had received, he started a foundation in Ethan's name while still in college. The foundation provided resources and support for families of children with serious illnesses, ensuring that no one else would have to face the same struggles alone. The story of Jamie Parker and Elon Musk became a legend in its own right, passed down as an example of how even the smallest actions could lead to extraordinary outcomes. It was a story about love and perseverance, about the power of asking for help, and about the magic that could happen when people chose to believe in each other. And through it all, Jamie remained the same boy who had once written a letter to a billionaire, not because he expected a miracle, but because he refused to give up on the people he loved. The story of Jamie and Ethan Parker had become something of a modern-day fable, a tale of love, ingenuity, and the impact of a single act of bravery. Yet the ripples it caused continued to expand far beyond their small town and far beyond their immediate family. Over the years, the tale inspired countless others to embrace kindness, empathy, and the boldness to take action. Jamie's letter was more than just a plea for help. It had sparked a movement, one whose effects resonated on an international scale. As the Parker family returned to a semblance of normalcy, their lives now infused with hope and purpose, the letters from strangers didn't stop. They came from all over the world: children, parents, doctors, scientists, and even astronauts. Many were inspired by Jamie's story to write letters of their own to influential figures, asking for change, advocating for causes, and seeking help for loved ones. While not every letter achieved the same miraculous response, the act of writing itself became a powerful symbol of taking control in the face of adversity. One letter came from a little girl named Aria in Brazil, whose village had no access to clean water. She wrote to a local entrepreneur after reading Jamie's story, asking if he could use his wealth to help her community. Her heartfelt message led to a collaboration between the entrepreneur and a nonprofit organization, resulting in a sustainable water project that transformed the lives of hundreds. Stories like these, though seemingly small in scope, became emblematic of the change that could occur when people dared to hope and act. Back in Willow Creek, the Parkers themselves became something of local legends. Ethan, once the frail boy tethered to a hospital bed, grew stronger with each passing year. By the time he entered middle school, he was an energetic, lively boy who loved science just as much as his brother did. He was particularly fascinated by biology, inspired by the doctors who had worked so tirelessly to save his life. He dreamed of becoming a physician himself one day, driven by a desire to give back in the way he had once been helped. Jamie, on the other hand, remained laser-focused on space exploration. Now, a young man, he had turned his childhood passion into a career path. After graduating from high school, Jamie secured a scholarship to one of the nation's most prestigious universities, where he majored in aerospace engineering. His first year at college was a whirlwind of lectures, lab experiments, and late-night study sessions. He relished every moment, feeling as though he were on the precipice of something extraordinary. One day during his second year, Jamie was approached by a professor who had followed his story since the beginning. "I've been meaning to talk to you, Jamie," she said after class, her voice filled with admiration. "I've been working on a project that I think might interest you. It's a collaboration with NASA to design a sustainable propulsion system for long-duration space missions. I'd like you to join our team." Jamie was stunned. The opportunity to work on a real NASA project was beyond anything he had imagined so early in his career. He eagerly accepted, throwing himself into the work with the same passion and determination that had carried him through the most difficult moments of his childhood. The project consumed Jamie's life for the next 2 years. He spent countless hours in the lab, running simulations, designing prototypes, and working alongside some of the brightest minds in the field. He quickly earned the respect of his peers and mentors, not just for his technical skill, but for his ability to inspire others. His story, though well known, was never something he flaunted. Instead, he used it as a quiet reminder of what could be achieved through perseverance and collaboration. Meanwhile, Ethan was making his own mark. Now in high school, he had become a vocal advocate for pediatric healthcare, speaking at events and fundraisers to raise awareness for children with chronic illnesses. Despite his young age, he was a natural speaker, his words carrying a weight that resonated with audiences of all backgrounds. He often spoke about the doctors and nurses who had cared for him, the innovative treatments that had saved his life, and the need for greater investment in medical research. Ethan's advocacy work eventually caught the attention of a prominent children's hospital in their state. The hospital invited him to join their youth advisory board, where he worked alongside other young advocates to improve patient care and raise funds for medical research. Ethan embraced the role wholeheartedly, balancing his schoolwork with his new responsibilities. He often joked that his brother was reaching for the stars while he was trying to save the people still on Earth. The Parker brothers' journeys continued to inspire others, but they also inspired each other. Jamie would call Ethan late at night from his college dorm, sharing updates about his projects and asking for advice on speeches or presentations. Ethan, in turn, would tell Jamie about his experiences on the advisory board and the stories of the patients he had met. Their bond, forged in the crucible of adversity, remained unbreakable. By the time Jamie graduated from college, he was already a rising star in the aerospace community. His work on the NASA propulsion project had earned him a prestigious internship at SpaceX, the company that had once seemed like a distant dream. Walking into the headquarters for the first time as an employee, Jamie couldn't help but think back to the day he had visited as a boy, clutching his brother's hand as they toured the facility. Now, he was part of the team. At SpaceX, Jamie worked tirelessly, contributing to projects that aimed to push the boundaries of what humanity could achieve in space. He quickly rose through the ranks, earning a reputation for his innovative ideas and unyielding work ethic. But Jamie never never forgot where he came from or the letter that had set everything in motion. He often spoke about his brother and the lessons he had learned from their journey, emphasizing the importance of empathy, resilience, and daring to dream big. Ethan, meanwhile, had been accepted into medical school. He was determined to become a pediatrician, specializing in the kind of rare conditions that had once plagued him. His experiences as a patient and an advocate had given him a unique perspective, one that allowed him to connect with his patients on a deeply personal level. He often told them about his own struggles and the people who had helped him along the way, using his story to inspire hope. The brothers' paths, though different, continued to intersect in meaningful ways. Ethan's research into advanced medical technologies often led him to consult with engineers and scientists, including his brother. Jamie, in turn, found himself drawn to projects that combined space exploration with healthcare, such as designing systems to monitor astronauts' health during long-duration missions. One of the most ambitious projects they collaborated on involved developing a system to deliver medical supplies to remote or underserved areas using autonomous drones inspired by space technology. The idea was to adapt the same principles used in rocket navigation to create a fleet of drones capable of reaching even the most isolated communities. The project, funded by a combination of grants and private donations, was a resounding success, saving countless lives and earning recognition from both the medical and aerospace industries. As the years went by, Jamie and Ethan became leaders in their respective fields, their work continuing to embody the values that had defined their journey from the beginning. Jamie's innovations at SpaceX contributed to groundbreaking missions that expanded humanity's presence in space, while Ethan's medical advancements improved the lives of children around the world. Together, they exemplified the power of hope, perseverance, and the belief that no challenge was insurmountable. Their story became a beacon of inspiration, not just for those who dreamed of exploring the stars or saving lives, but for anyone who faced adversity and wondered if their voice could make a difference. Jamie's letter, written with the purest intentions of a child's love for his brother, had done more than change their lives. It had changed the world. And as Jamie and Ethan looked to the future, they knew their journey was far from over. There were still stars to reach, lives to save, and stories to tell. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, guided by the same unwavering belief that had carried them through their greatest trials, that even the smallest actions, fueled by love and hope, could lead to the most extraordinary outcomes. Years passed, and the Parker brothers' individual achievements became chapters in a larger story of innovation and compassion that spanned the globe. Jamie, now a seasoned engineer at SpaceX, had taken on a leadership role in the company's most ambitious mission to date, developing a permanent human settlement on Mars. Ethan, meanwhile, had completed his medical training and was leading groundbreaking research in pediatric healthcare, focusing on merging medical technology with space-inspired innovations to create more accessible solutions for rare diseases. Despite their busy lives, the brothers remained deeply connected. Their late-night conversations had evolved into video calls, where they brainstormed ideas that blurred the lines between their two fields. Jamie's latest project involved creating modular habitats for Mars that could double as medical facilities, while Ethan was exploring the use of these modular designs to deliver mobile clinics to disaster-stricken areas on Earth. Their synergy had become a model for interdisciplinary collaboration, and their respective industries took notice. One day, Jamie called Ethan with a proposal that would take their shared vision to new heights. "I've been working on something I think you'll like," Jamie began, his excitement palpable through the screen. "What if we created a universal health monitoring system for astronauts that could also be used on Earth for patients in remote or underserved areas? It would combine advanced diagnostics with artificial intelligence to predict and prevent health issues before they escalate." Ethan leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "That's brilliant, Jamie. But how do we adapt it for Earth? The challenges are different. Patients aren't isolated like astronauts, and the data integration would need to handle diverse healthcare systems." Jamie grinned. "That's where you come in. We design it for space first, then work backward to Earth. The same principles, limited resources, need for precision, and real-time analysis apply in both environments. I think it's doable, but I need your expertise to make it practical for everyday use." The two spent months collaborating on the project, pulling together a multidisciplinary team of engineers, doctors, and software developers. The result was a revolutionary system that combined wearable sensors, AI-driven diagnostics, and satellite connectivity to create a network capable of delivering real-time health insights anywhere on the planet or beyond it. When the prototype was unveiled at an international technology summit, it garnered widespread acclaim. Jamie and Ethan stood side by side on the stage, explaining the system's potential to transform both space exploration and global healthcare. The audience was captivated, not just by the technology, but by the story of the brothers whose journey had led to its creation. They had taken the love and hope that had once saved Ethan's life and turned it into something that could save countless others. After the summit, Jamie and Ethan were approached by a philanthropist who offered to fund the deployment of their system in areas hardest hit by natural disasters and conflict. They accepted without hesitation, knowing that this was the culmination of everything they had worked for. Their invention became a lifeline for millions, embodying their shared belief that science and compassion could change the world. As they stood together on a hill overlooking their childhood home in Willow Creek, now a quiet monument to the story that had begun there, Jamie and Ethan reflected on how far they had come. The glow-in-the-dark stars still adorned the ceiling of their old bedroom, a reminder of the dreams that had once seemed impossibly distant. They smiled, knowing that the journey wasn't over. The stars were still calling, and there was still so much more to achieve. Together, they would keep reaching. As the years went on, the Parker brothers found themselves at the forefront of some of the most exciting and impactful innovations of their time. Their work, which had begun with a single letter and a dream, had evolved into a legacy that touched countless lives. But despite the fame and accolades, they remained grounded by the simple principles that had always guided them: compassion, collaboration, and the unwavering desire to help others. Their universal health monitoring system, which had been initially designed with astronauts in mind, had revolutionized the healthcare industry. Deployed in areas with limited access to medical care, the system became a critical tool for diagnosing and monitoring chronic conditions in regions where even basic healthcare services were a rarity. Whether it was an isolated village in the Amazon rainforest or a refugee camp in Syria, the system helped healthcare workers provide better, faster care. The technology was particularly transformative in the wake of natural disasters, where it allowed aid organizations to quickly assess the health needs of displaced populations and direct resources where they were most needed. Jamie and Ethan's work also expanded into space, where their system was adapted to monitor the health of astronauts on long-duration missions. The monitoring system became a cornerstone of NASA's deep space exploration programs, providing astronauts with the tools to manage their physical and mental health while traveling to the farthest reaches of the solar system. Their innovations helped pave the way for human missions to Mars, with the technology providing real-time health data that was essential for the success of such missions. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on a boy's letter to Elon Musk about his sick brother? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.